Hey, it's your boy Chuck Wolf on the Part-Time Preacher Podcast. And like I say every time, why am I part-time? They just don't pay me enough to be full-time. But tonight we got a pretty good show. I think it's more uh, biblical, but also looks at the political things to an extent and how it kind of all, in my opinion, comes together in an eschatological way, eschatological, ever how you want to say that, pronounce that. But as you can see on the screen here, point it right. Uh, Choose this day whom you will serve, Joshua asked. And he went on to say, as for me and my house, we will choose the Lord. And a lot of life sometimes feels like these two choices. Both are awful. So I'm going to choose between Moloch or Baal. I'm going to choose between the God who demands compromise, or I'm going to choose the God who demands the sacrifice of my children. I don't know. They're both awful. And what led me to this was I saw a meme, and it did have to do with politics. And I can't remember what preceded it. If someone was asking, would you ever vote for somebody else, a Democrat or Republican, vice versa? Or how could you do it? I'm not really exactly sure, but the meme was, or the guy asked in the meme, kind of like similar to mine, was like, vote for who, Moloch or Baal? I mean, we always talk about the lesser of two evils, and I've even preached that, the lesser of two evils, and mentioning those things like that. And but that's really the choices that you have in America. You don't really have a viable third option, so you're basically voting between Moloch or Baal. Or as South Park put it, not to be crude, but it was between a douche or a turd sandwich. I mean, they're both awful. You don't have any other choice. And this really seeps into our modern life and modern American life, but you actually do have a third choice in most things. I mean, you can vote third party, the Green Party, Ralph Nader. Didn't he die? I guess I could look that up. If I had a producer, I'd ask him, but Chuck Jr. is watching the World Cup, so I don't really blame him, though. But as we look at this, um, life does hand you sometimes choices that are awful, absolutely awful between Moloch or Baal. But I'm here to tell you, hopefully, God can pull us out of all of this because it's a false choice. Sometimes you don't really have a choice. Like you go to the gas station and you want to get some coffee, and it's either burnt motor oil or burnt motor oil with a little flavoring. I mean, it's not good coffee. I mean, it's not like we can protest Starbucks, but they have good coffee. I don't actually go into Starbucks often at all, but I do buy it at home and do the little pour over method. Is kind of neat. Makes it taste pretty good, in my opinion. But like I said, these choices aren't real. But just to talk about Moloch for a second, and well, let me back up a little bit. I want to tell you a little story about a guy named Robert Johnson. Most of you might know Robert Johnson. He was an African American guitar player from Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I don't live terribly far out of the region of Clarksdale, Mississippi. And I have actually been to Clarksdale, Mississippi many times and been to this intersection of Highway 61 and Highway 49 in Clarksville or Clarksdale. I'm sorry. My daughter goes to college in Clarksville. So I'm getting it mixed up. But it's in Highway 61 and 49 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. I've been there. They have a little monument to it, actually. And it's kind of like this guy named Robert Johnson. He was a very mediocre guitar player. He could probably play it at that time the way it's said, about as good as I can, which is not good at all because I'm not a good guitarist. I can kind of play every rose a little bit if I can strum it. Just I get too fast with it. Brett would be upset with me. But anyway, he couldn't play anything. His musical ability was terrible. He, you know, bungled the chords. I'm just going by what people said because I obviously wasn't alive in 1929, and my papa would only have been like 4. So, uh, anyway, the idea or the legend goes that Johnson met a mysterious figure between Highway 49 and Highway 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And this mysterious figure is supposed to be the devil. And Johnson handed the devil the guitar, and the devil played it several songs and then handed it back. And then after that, Johnson was able to play guitar like he had never played before, better than uh, Mick Mars, CC DeVille. I'm from the hairband 80s generation. So, I mean, Slash, he could play it better than any of those guys. But the legend is that he had to make a deal with the devil. In accepting the guitar back from the devil, he gave over his life to the devil. And that's exactly what the devil takes every time someone pledges their allegiance, whether they do it intentionally or accidentally because he's acting in another capacity. I don't know. Maybe he's pretending to be an angel of light at that point in time. But either way, the point being is that you always got to pay the piper. And so, tragically, almost 10 years to the day in 1938, Clarksdale, Robert Johnson died mysteriously at the age of 27. And he recorded 29 songs during his lifetime. I am reading this part. Um, but it does say here that his revolutionary guitar playing and techniques went on to fundamentally shape rock and roll and influencing Richards and Clapton and Dylan, all from the generation preceding me, though I do acknowledge they are good guitarists. I'm not a huge fan, but Eric Clapton anyway. But let's look at this. He made the deal with the devil, and that became convenient. And in a sense, he chose Moloch and Baal. He compromised with his soul because he wanted to be a super guitar player, but Moloch demanded something from him, a sacrifice, which was his own life. So, getting back to this story between God and these false gods, these are all false gods, by the way. Moloch and Baal, not Yahweh, Jehovah, made up by humans, or I would actually rather posit that they were implanted into the minds of humans by demons. But either way, human beings were the ones that come up with them after that. And so I don't know why we would come up with gods so evil. Why would we want to come up with such as these? And just to look at them for just a minute, whether you're watching or not, reading it later, I'm not real sure. But Baal was basically the god of prosperity, the god of rain, the god of crops. He was very practical. Uh, the requirement was that it's not really a requirement, but if you're worshiping Baal, what he's leading you into is simply compromise with the world. And this is where the Israelites, the ancient Israelites, really had a difficult time because they constantly went over to worship Baal because the promise from Baal was more immediate, kind of like Burger King, have it your way whenever you want it. And that's what Baal promised. I can't figure out why when he didn't get that. Now they kept going back. But it is also possible. I mean, these false gods are being controlled by the demons and the devil. So it is possible that the devil blessed those people a little bit, making it think like things are going well, but you're really just falling deeper into the trap. And again, it wasn't just that Israel rejected Yahweh or Jehovah. They just added him in with the pantheon of other gods, kind of like the Greeks did. But Moloch would be the god of busyness. You know, I don't have time for anything. I don't have time for God. I'm grinding it out. The god of comfort. And that's really true. We don't want to give up any of our comforts. I'll be honest, I don't. And yeah, I don't want to give up any of my comforts either. Uh, he's the God of self expression. I'm going to do it my way, the way I need to do it. My truth is my truth. And it doesn't matter if there's another truth. Uh, he's also could be considered the God of consumerism. We just want to purchase and buy and buy and buy. And that keeps us distracted. And really, the message of Baal is you can have God, but me too. Or vice versa. You can have me, then you can have a little God, kind of to go along with that. And so that's basically the gist of Baal, the false god that just I mean, he wreaked havoc. And by when I say he, I mean the demons behind him and the other, like the Philistines and the Canaanites and those that worshiped these gods. They were always a thorn in the side of Israel. And it was always tempting because not everybody's saved, even in Israel, as Paul says. We're preaching on that now. But so he was able to infiltrate. And that's what he does. Is how the devil works is he infiltrates into things, infiltrates into the church. And then there's this god called Moloch. You have your Baals, and then you have this evil. It couldn't get much more evil than the god Moloch. He's totally opposite in a sense from Baal, yet they complement one another perfectly, because if you basically give over your life to ease and comfort and consumerism, you're not living in a good way, you don't care about God, or you're living in a backslidden, extremely backslidden way, possibly, well, then you got to pay the piper. The devil's going to extract what you've promised to him. And so that's kind of like Moloch. Moloch was different. Moloch wanted blood. Moloch was an evil god. And I can't for the life of me why human beings would come up with a god so evil. At least if you're going to make your own gods, make them nice, make them cool. Uh, kind of like we talked about the other night, Joseph Smith and L. Ron Hubbard. They wrote religious books that, I mean, they just made up what they wanted so it benefited them. And so, I mean, it was just awful. I want to say another thing about Baal. Involved in Baal worship was temple prostitutes, male and female. I mean, we think our world in America is debauched today. It is nothing like the debauchery that went on in ancient antiquity. But they had these temple prostitutes, and obviously, I'm not going to get into that. But the idea was that during the procreation, that would spur, or what's another word? I can't think of good words tonight. Motivate Baal to go ahead and rain on the land so it could fertilize the crops. I mean, not a bad religion if you're wanting to write yourself in a way to having a lot of women, which is kind of what Joseph Smith did for Mormonism. I guess that works, and that's pretty much what they did. But anyway, Moloch was different. He demanded the future out of you. He demanded a sacrifice. When I say he demanded the future, Moloch required child sacrifice. And there were many Israelites that sacrificed their newborn babies to this false god Moloch. And what they built, this hollow bronze statue of Moloch with outstretched arms, kind of like that, so he could hold the baby. And they would build a fire underneath it so that it turns glowing red, hot as, well, hot as fire, hot as coals. Human beings, and especially those that claim to know God, Yahweh, they would take their newborn children, not all of them, I'm firstborn, I don't know, but they would take their newborn baby alive and set it on the burning hands of Moloch in his arms, and the baby would die, screaming, obviously, in absolute agony and pain. This is what Moloch demanded. He demanded your life. And he demanded what mattered most. And what could matter more than your children? I really don't. I guess I should have researched better. I'm not very good at it, am I? A very good part. That's why I'm part time. That's what I said. I mean, I didn't follow it up enough to see what would happen after that. Um, but what type of Molochs do we have today? I mean, there's workaholics that will sacrifice their family, and addictions that will sacrifice your health and your family. You're giving up what's most important for something that is absolutely selfish. Uh, Entertainment has sacrificed what attention spans we had. I don't have much of one left. I think I had ADD as a child. I know I did. I didn't have the HD part, didn't have the hyperactivity part, because Chuck Sr., he did not beat me. I love my dad, wonderful person, but I did get spanked, I think, like 4 times. And so I learned pretty quickly you don't want to do that. Kind of lost my point, I guess. Thinking about that thing, dad is past and gone now, almost, well, will be 15 years this year. But, it taught me discipline and it taught me respect and to respect my elders. And I still do. To my knowledge, became a productive member of society to some point. But anyway, Moloch demanded everything that was precious to you. And he took your kids, and that was it. And the modern equivalency of that is actually we have the scandals going on with the e-files and the PDF files where people are literally giving their children over to these billionaires to be, I don't even know what to say, at the end of the day, murdered. Many of them were. But that's what Moloch is. And he's like, if you give me what matters most to you, I will give you what you want. And Robert Johnson gave his life after a 10-year bargain, and Moloch, the devil, gave him the ability to play guitar like a genius, like a virtuoso. But you always have to pay the piper. There's no, I don't want to start preaching. It's kind of a little different what I'm doing here, but you get the idea of kind of what I'm saying. And especially as we look at it in the political sense, has anything changed for you? I mean, you got a few things on the margins, right? Since I can't even remember, I guess if we just go back from 2000 and up, that's 26 years at this point. Excuse me, which seems wild to be turning 50 this year. But go back to 2000, how you voted. You voted for, I don't say you, but we elected Bush. What did we get? Debt and war. Uh, Economic collapse in 2008, housing collapse, a huge recession, and almost into a depression. Then we elect President Obama, whom I think was a better choice. I'm not going to lie. But we're still at war. We even opened up new fronts in Libya, maybe even Lebanon. I can't quite remember. So nothing in my personal life really changed from Bush to Obama. I mean, it really didn't. The same stuff carried on. I mean, the rich people got more tax cuts, and maybe I got a few things on the margins, but I mean, I still had to get up and go to work every day. I mean, I still had to do all that. I like how my eyes bug out. Kind of look like Cash Patel. That's crazy. But then you fast forward to President Trump. We elected him. What did we get? Continuation of wars, much more debt. We elected Biden. Now, he did pull out of Afghanistan under a deal that Trump negotiated. I believe in fairness. He may have botched the pullout, but Trump negotiated when it had to happen. But I also say, I mean, it's not like Biden was planning the mission. He just gave the order for the mission. It's still up to the military to do it, but I agree it was hastily put together and could have been done a whole lot better. But at the same time, we still got bombings and things going on all through the Middle East. Nothing really changes tax wise. In fact, I lost tax breaks under the Trump tax plan because as a traveling electrician at the time, I could not deduct no longer my mileage or my expenses. Made me feel better that you could deduct, your third boat and second helicopter and fourth house. Made me feel good knowing that I was helping them out. And but move forward to now. We elected Trump on the promise of lowering prices, lowering inflation, lowering the debt, and no new wars. And guess what? None of that has happened except the new wars. We got a new war in Iran that is, we have a peace deal now, memorandum of understanding that is really nothing but in complete capitulation and surrender by the United States. Um, but nothing's really changed. I mean, we fight all the time, left and right. We fight about, whether gay people can get married or whether, uh, man, I should be able to think of many more topics here, but we fight all the time about everything. Who's the best American? Who loves America the most? Democrats hate America. Republicans hate America. Guess what? The billionaires all hate us collectively. Saw a tweet by Hunter Biden the other day, and he was basically saying, that the, the ruling class does not care about you. And I would posit that he knows because he dabbled in that world for all his faults, for everything. He's been the son of Joe Biden, obviously, all his life, who was a senator, vice president, and then president. So it's not like he's not been in that world, heard those people talk, know what goes on. So I actually do believe him when he says they do not care about you at all. Because if they did, life wouldn't be kind of like it is. Life wouldn't be so hard for people trying to choose whether they get medicine or whether they get food. And some can't afford either, and you just die. I think it's like 60,000 people a year die in America because they lack health insurance. And not only that, don't get me started, but even if you have health insurance, it's ridiculous because I pay a fortune, my company pays a fortune, still got to pay a copay when I go to the doctor, still got to get a bill back from the doctor. Then I still have to pay for prescriptions. So, I mean, they do not care about us. So when we go to the polls, that's the purpose. That's the point. You're voting for Moloch or Baal because your life is not going to change that much in the middle class or the lower middle class. Maybe in the poverty level because they keep, they cut the food stamps or SNAP benefits. And they cut various other things. Which I'm not going to say is necessarily a bad thing in the fiscal sense, because I do believe, as someone who now kind of works in a roundabout way in that, I've seen where things are very much abused, but I've also seen things where it was very much needed. Uh, so I think we just need a better policing mechanism with that. Um, but that's kind of my point, I guess. I keep saying that, but when we go to the polls in November, do we really think it's going to make a big difference in your daily life? That's what I mean. In your daily life, it may make a difference in the trajectory, in a sense, of the country, which will eventually affect your daily life. Don't get me wrong. It will. And that's important. But for 6 years now, we've elected Democrats and we've elected Republicans, and we've got more debt and we've got more war, and it hasn't stopped yet. So you tell me, who are we voting for, Moloch or Baal? They're both awful. They're both awful. You really don't have a third option in America. I'd like to say, like, in the religious sense, yes, you have another option because God is the third option. God is the true God. There was this big battle in the old days between Elijah and the prophets of Baal. I think it's 1 Kings 18, where there's been I can't remember the timeline of this at the moment. I'm thinking this one off the top of my head, but either way, it was a showdown in the desert. I guess you could call it, where the prophets of Baal were going to call on Baal to send lightning down from heaven and burn up this sacrifice or this wood edifice things that they made there. And all day long, man, the people, they were dancing around in these pagan dances, and I'm quite certain doing the procreation thing. I call it that for uh, politically correct purposes, I guess. And they were cutting themselves and they were crying out, and they were kind of doing a little Moloch activity with their self-inflicted wounds. And they cried all day long. And Elijah's over there like, Hey, keep going, man. You got it. Call him this time. I think if you do it one more time, you'll get it. Now I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and inferring a lot into that, but that's pretty much what the concept was. Then Elijah took all this water and poured it all over the sacrifice and all over the wood, so it was absolutely doused. And then he called on the God of heaven, Yahweh, and lightning bolt came down and struck the wood. Now, you don't have to believe that. That's a story in the Bible that I absolutely believe. But if you do believe the Bible, we see there is a third choice: God, who truly has the power. How long will we go between two opinions? Kind of like Joshua said when I'm trying to look at this, or not look at it, but let me show you guys here real quick. Let me get this off. The the scripture. Now this is cut in half a little bit, but and if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods of your fathers, dot dot dot. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Choose this day whom you will serve. You're either going to serve God or you're going to serve the devil. You're going to serve God or you're going to serve Baal and Molech. And that's your choices. Baal, who's going to distract you with every pleasure that's possible in humanity. Moloch, who's going to demand your children or demand your life or demand you give him something in exchange for what you get. Or God, from whom all blessings flow. All good things come from God. God is not a vengeful God if you are in his hand. He will be at the end. That is coming most definitely for all the people that worshiped Baal and Moloch in the ancient time as well as the modern time. That is coming. But as for right now, God holds his hand. But if you are in God's hands and you accept Christ as Savior, knowing we are sinners, knowing we need a Savior, trust in God, call upon him. If you believe in God and confess with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Confess. Because we have false choices everywhere else. The lesser of two evils that we want to talk about. I mean, the lesser of two evils is still evil, you know? Don't we get that? It's the lesser of two evils is still evil. So choose this day whom you will serve. Will it be God or will it be the Baals of the world? The Baals of the world lead to destruction. Even when the devil transforms himself into an angel of light and tells you you can go to heaven, he's putting you on the wide path. Notice in Matthew 7, Jesus says there's a narrow way and a wide way. But they both say heaven. Nobody's trying to sell hell. Made that rhyme, didn't I? Sell hell. Nobody's out there saying hell, let's go to hell. No, they're saying let's go to heaven. There's the narrow way, which is obedience to Yahweh, Jehovah, God. Then there's the wide way that compromises with the world, seeks things from the world, gives up themselves for the world, but they think they're going to heaven. That's not true. So, Joshua didn't say, pick the lesser of two evils, man. He didn't say, pick the idol that's going to hurt you less. Don't vote for the guy that's going to screw you over the most, or you know what I mean? Vote for the guy you think is not going to. They're going to get it over on you somehow. It's just one guy might do it, at 10, and one guy might do it at, 8.9. Give you just a little bit of break if you're on their side. But we generally don't want to wait. Like Baal, we go into it and we want it quickly. But Joshua said, put away the gods that your fathers served. Basically, he means put away the Baals, the false gods, compromise. Put all that away. You can choose idolatry or you can choose the covenant. You can choose the devil or you can choose Jesus. You can choose destruction or you can choose discipleship. But as for me and my house, we are going to serve the Lord as best as possible. We're all sinners. We all fall down. But I hope this helps you a little bit, especially when it comes to voting time, because I don't have an answer. I'm not telling you who to vote for. You vote for who you want to. on what you think is best for the nation and then what is best for you. But let's not kid ourselves that what we presently have is not really a choice between good and evil. It's a choice between evil and evil, Baal or Molech. So that's my 2 cents on this one today. I hope that you got a little blessing out of that. I don't know. Let's see what's happening on these other pages here. Uh, let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. I know most nobody's watching to this point, so this is just me hanging out basically with nothing else to do here. The part-time preacher. So let's look at this. And this is from my page on Facebook, and I go by Open Ears to Hear on Facebook because I decided to change to part-time preacher in the Chuck Wolf show. But you can find me as Open Ears to Hear on Facebook. And let's look at this. Charlie Kirk Highway, uh, stretch between Middle Tennessee and looks like it's going north through Nashville. And so it's calling it Charlie Kirk Highway. I guess that's okay. I didn't listen to Charlie Kirk. But I'm terribly sad at what happened to him. So I can understand the followers wanting to have something, a memorial to that. President Trump's talking about the Save America Act. All voters must show an ID. I actually don't have a problem with that. I've had to show one every time I voted, even before it was mandatory. Um, all voters must show proof of citizenship. I would think if you got the ID, that should be your citizenship. I disagree with no mail in ballots. Why do we make it so hard to vote? I mean, you do everything else online and it manages to, well, I actually say there's a lot of cheating and stealing. I guess I shouldn't say that, but you do everything else online. But this is mail in ballots. You ought to be able to mail them in, I think. I agree with no men and women's sports. Absolutely. I mean, when you lost South Park and they did an episode on this, you've basically lost, dude. And I agree with this actually. And no transgender mutilation surgery on our children. I agree with this too because I made dumb decisions at 14 that I would never have made at 50 or probably 16. But why? And many people do make life altering permanent decisions at 14 to do bad things, and it haunts them the rest of their life. But this is one that certainly, to my knowledge, can't be changed. And it most certainly goes against the scripture, and most certainly goes against the Bible, and it most certainly goes against God. And so we don't want that. Here from the Hill, it says fewer Americans are saying that anyone can achieve the American dream than in the past, according to a new poll. And I don't disagree with that either. It's not impossible. It's not, but it is hard. It is hard when it takes everything you make for a lot of people just to pay the rent and just to buy groceries and just to eat and buy medicine. Possibly let your kids play Little League. It takes every nickel that you make for that. So, how can you really hope to better yourself when it takes time to do that? It takes money to do that. It takes commitment to do that, but you're in life. So I do think it's a little bit harder to do that, but it isn't impossible. Uh, I can definitely see where the Lord has blessed me over these years, and I'm very thankful for that. Let's see what else is something about the VA there. Fish oils. Candace Owens is like listening to a true crime podcast in real time. You're with her trying to figure out what happened to Charlie Kirk. I mean, we know what happened to him, but who did it? How did it happen? And it don't make no sense. Man, I got good grammar. My wife was an English teacher. I actually won the English award 2 years in a row for being the best student in English for the lower class. I wasn't in the AP, so I was the smartest of the dumber kids. I don't know if that's a flex or not. Oh man, my children are both graduating in the top 10 with 4.0s and high ACT scores. And I'm like, how? I wasn't able to do that. But anyway, I did see this thing from Aaron Parnas just a few minutes ago where there's a huge flu outbreak in one of the military bases in Texas because they said you don't have to take the flu vaccine this year. And while I generally agree you should have the choice to do what you want, what if we had to deploy tomorrow and half the platoon, brigade, division is sick with the flu? It just seems to me you would want to be immunized. The flu vaccine has been around a long time. I've taken it. You might say, hey, I've looked at you. I'm not taking it after that. But let's be real with ourselves. Uh, I don't think ivermectin's going to save you in that situation. I saw another thing where cancer patients were foregoing chemotherapy and radiation to take ivermectin, which is a medication to kill parasites. Hey, man, you do you. I gave ivermectin to both of my dogs yesterday in the form of their flea and tick medication. I guess you could just buy some Frontline, put it on your skin, let it go in there. Wouldn't that be basically the same thing? Um, Again, if that's what you want to do, I'm not going to knock it. I don't think it's wise, but you do that. But anyway, I think we're going to end it for tonight. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. Smash the like button, the follow button, whatever you can do. I'm going to see if I can do this actually. I don't think I have enough viewers to do it, but we'll try. My live viewer count on Rumble doesn't meet the campaign's minimum requirement yet. Since I got no viewers, I love this one. You got to have 100. Ain't nobody giving that one to me. This one has 500. This one is 750 and you earn $60. That'd be cool. Uh, well, there's a total of one, which is myself. So hopefully, though, there'll be some people watch. I hope you have a good night. God bless. And keep coming back to the Chuck Wolf Show, part time preacher on all of the other platforms, Facebook, Open Ears to Hear. I know that's confusing. I'm working on changing it. And thanks for being with me. Have a good and blessed weekend.